Great to see you, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
good to see you, Jay.
Thanks for sitting down with us.
Always.
It's always good to see you.
You're good.
We're learning more about San Diego Spine Foundation. I just kind of wanted to hear first for those that don't know what that is. I'd love to hear from your perspective and
Sure.
kind of like where that's going.
Yeah, the San Diego Spine Foundation is a foundation that Dr. Baruzek Barnia started, gosh, like 15 plus years ago in San Diego. And the real crux of the foundation really is to build bridges within our community, and that includes both locally in San Diego, but then also in our partnerships with like Global Spine Outreach to do mission work, and internationally as far as like surgeon education. So it's a phenomenal organization. We take 4 fellows a year, for instance, that populate our practices there, and is really the lifeline of what we do. And yeah, it's really a very outward facing organization.
Just knowing you a little bit, like you enjoy this teaching and letting people kind of like share what they do. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a lot of different mechanisms of doing that. And I'll say COVID was horrible, but it did some really phenomenal things, right? Like we started a YouTube channel at that time so we could reach people that would typically be able to be there. Like all of our conferences are now like going online, and we're able to really share knowledge from surgeons all around the world, really, with everyone now through these different platforms that we didn't really use beforehand. So being able to modify with the times and figure out like, hey, there's actually a better way to reach more surgeons was one of the things that really came out of that era.
That's awesome. No, I would agree. Like there's some silver linings there, for all of us, just thinking about how we can provide more value, more awareness to what you're doing, which is great. So you mentioned Global Spine Outreach.
Yeah.
I definitely want to hear more about that too, but then there's also Bridging the Gap. I just wanted to kind of hear, because that's the best line.
Interestingly enough, and a lot of this has to do with my own personal journey, my own personal journey with mental health through COVID and all that. And I had a very, very sick father, and my mom got sick too. And it really sent me on a very introspective journey. And come to find out, our jobs are so insanely stressful as surgeons. And I would even say the surgical team, because it goes beyond just the surgeon, the fellow, the resident. It goes into the teams that, the companies that supplied the implants, the executives that are running those companies. It goes to the techs that are working with us, our nurses. The stress that we put on the system is really, really intense. And I think for a long time, I don't really think I was buying into the sort of the soft skills that it requires to manage a team. And so several years ago, we've been having like busy professor meetings for a long time. But then about 3 years ago, we just said, like, let's change it up a little bit. And so we started Bridging the Gap. And the whole idea there was actually to bridge gaps in our field. And instead of it being bridging gaps of hard skills, like we see in so many spine meetings, how to put screws in, how to get your alignment right, where do you do osteotomies, when do you do a disc replacement, like this meeting really focuses on soft skills. Like, how do I lead my team? How do I lead myself? How do I communicate and portray to those around me? How do I build a team? How do I take care of my own mental health? How do I become more aware of like all the elements that are feeding negativity in my world? And how do I deal with that? How do I deal with my family that might be struggling? And then I still have to go to work and perform as a surgeon. So this meeting is really about managing the soft skills in life, and it's really exciting because it's very impactful.
Absolutely. I mean, not a surgeon, I would love to come and just glean what you're sharing there, because any high pressure environment, you need to know maybe going in, hey, this might be an area where you can avoid a landmine, right, based on experience. I heard you say recently, don't chase perfection, chase mastery.
Yeah.
I love that. Can you talk about that in your world? Because I think it feeds into maybe what you're explaining.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a quote I heard recently, and I loved it because as someone that's spent the vast majority of his life chasing perfection, the problem with that is that the end result is always failure, right? You will never be perfect. It's like chasing infinity, right? Like you're never going to actually get there. It's like it's an unknown out there. But mastery you can get to, because it means I am working on a skill set that I can actually make the best version of myself with, right? And that is a progress that I can make every day. So if I just try to be, you know, uh, uh, just a little bit better today than I was yesterday, I have taken that step towards mastery. And that I think we can all achieve.
Yeah, and I love that. I think it's just, it's in the pursuit of what you'll never catch. You'll never catch perfection, but if you pursue the mastery and the little iterative changes, and like you think about surgery, it's a lot of steps that you do. Like, what is it? Bruce Lee practices the same kick
Yeah.
10,000
Yeah.
times, and he's a master of that kick.
Exactly.
It's never the perfect kick.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very true, right? Like the other thing is like, uh, while you may never achieve it, it's kind of like when people talk about like, it's not really about the destination, it's about the journey, right?
Yes.
It's how you get there, right? And that's what mastery is. Mastery is the journey,
Yeah.
right? And that journey can be lovely and joyful, and we can like all like grow within that, right?
Yeah.
And it provides room for everyone there, right? Perfection and destination, man, like it really is at the expense of everything else. And I think that's the problem. To say, the other thing I love about bridging the gap is like that you mentioned, the focus is surgeons, right? Just because it's that's sort of the currency.
Sure.
Okay. The reality though is like anyone that walks into the room for that meeting, whether it's the spouses of the surgeons, whether it's the industry executives, whether it's my reps, everyone's walking away with the same thing. And it's really a meeting about humanity rather than a meeting about a specialty. And again, while it is our currency, it's an important currency because we have to be able to connect, we have to build the bridge between industry and surgeon. At the same time, there's a commonality there. That's a beautiful thing that gets to happen in that room.
Yeah, it's like you revel and you there's a grind aspect or a grit component to everybody in this room, whether you're a physician or your support and serve physicians. And I think that's why it's so intoxicating in a good way.
Yeah.
But it can lead, because it's so demanding and that aforementioned stress, it can lead to, you know, some problems and challenges if you don't have those guardrails up, which it sounds like you teach ways to deal with this. Yeah, that's really exciting. When is this bridge?
August 1st and 2nd.
Okay.
So 2025 in San Diego.
San Diego.
Yes, in Carlsbad. It's at the Park Hyatt Aviara.
Love it.
Incredibly beautiful environment. It really does promote relaxation. It promotes time with your spouse and your family. We have a golf tournament that we put on every year as a part of it. This year we're also adding pickleball, so it's gonna be like fun. The idea really is to marry three things. It's trying to learn, right? That's the academic piece of it. 2 half day, basically just in the mornings. We like to play, which is the golf and the pickleball, and then to give, which is a really beautiful thing, right? Generosity and this idea that that to give is to better than to get is also built into it, because all the proceeds from the meeting, from the golf, et cetera, are going to go towards global spine outreach.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Final piece on GSO.
Yeah.
It's amazing just from afar to have seen it. I've been at one of the golf tournaments and long supporter of you and what you guys are working on. What would you like to share about GSO?
So GSO, or Global Spine Outreach, is the heart and soul of probably my practice,
Wow.
right? Which is ultimately like why we all go into medicine, is for this really true altruistic nature that we all have, which is we want to figure out some way to help our fellow man, right? And same with you, Jay. You're doing the same thing. You're trying to help your fellow man. And for us, like the rawness of that in surgery is when you give back on a missions trip. And it's pure, it's beautiful. You're interacting with other surgeons on the ground there. You're teaching that whole principle of teaching someone how to fish rather than giving them a fish.
That's right.
And then being able to, again, like be a part of a team that is much bigger than yourself. What a beautiful environment to be a part of, you know. And yeah, I encourage anyone that has the opportunity, check out Global Spine Outreach, or check out any other missions organization where you have the opportunity to get.
I've been on one and it absolutely changed my life. Mozambique and Kenya. Just so good. It's unbelievable. Like, you're 100% right. It's wonderful to hear. So, well, hopefully this has been a way where you can share a little bit more awareness to these amazing things that you're doing outside the OR, as well as obviously your practice today. We'll close there. what are you excited about? What kind of patients do you treat? Like what's your world today and then tomorrow in
Sure.
your practice?
You know, a couple years ago, I made a concerted effort to say I'm only going to be limiting my practice only to patients that have kind of the severe spinal deformities, and those patients that have had maybe failed surgery on their back, you know, and that are left pitched forward or off to the side or just in constant pain. Um, and it's been a passion of mine, really, honestly, since I was in training. That's what my love for is the reconstructive element, the artistry of reconstruction. I think there's something really beautiful about being able to bring together the harmony of alignment and shape with patient outcomes, and seeing patients do so much better after they get to recover from these pretty big operations. But so yeah, really focused my practice now on just kind of these deformities.
It's fantastic. Well, it's a pleasure to know you. You've taught a lot of surgeons that I used to work with how to do these techniques, and it is a harmony. It is absolutely that marriage of reconstructing a challenging, complex problem, but each patient is different,
Yep,
right?
it's a fingerprint, form and function. Got to make them
Amazing.
right.
That's amazing. Well, thanks for this time.
Thank
Great
you,
to see
Eddie.
you, brother.
Appreciate you and all you
Yeah,
guys do. Yeah,
trying. Bye,
absolutely,
man.
man.